Welcome to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. Are you a goofball that loves Giants football? If so, sit back and relax as we talk about the team that both excites and frustrates us so much. And now, here are your goofball hosts, Drew and Rob.
Welcome, fellow goofballs, to Two Giant Goofballs, New York Giants podcast. I am Drew, joined as always by...
I'm me. I'm Rob. Let's get the show on road. There's so much to talk about today.
By the way, I should mention it because you can see it in the corner of the photo right now, as I have the cat with me once again, Martini. She is overcoming her spaying right now. This is not a costume I put on her to prevent her from getting her stitches. It just looks weird. She has an orange around her head.
So maybe you're just making some orange chicken.
The things they find on Amazon, you know? I don't know. My wife found it. She was like, yeah, this looks cute. We'll put it on her. She can't get the stitches. Poor cat.
Womp womp.
But yeah, guys, we have a lot of news to go over here with you guys today. There's roster moves galore. There's guys coming back. There's guys leaving. There's guys elevated. There's guys signed. We got all kinds of roster moves here to go over. We have two ex-Giants talking some BS about the team here. We got also, of course, got to go over our preview of the most boring game of the NFL season, the Giants versus the Panthers. Oh, yes, we are talking up this game.
We are doing it.
Oh, yeah, we're just listening. We're calling it what it is. This is not a game that people are excited to see, even those that are fans of the team. But here we are talking about the game unit here. So let's start off with the roster news here. So we got to start off with, of course, the fact that the Giants signed a brand new player, guys. Bryan Hudson was signed. So Hudson, 6'5", 305 pounds, undrafted rookie free agent from Louisville, originally was signed by the Lions, has then spent most of his season here on the Patriots practice squad. This is what the Draft Network said about him back in April leading up to the draft. They said, Louisville center Bryan Hudson is amongst the most athletic interior offensive lineman prospects in the 2024 draft. Hudson posted eye-dropping numbers at his pro day by leaping a 9'5" broad. He also ran a 4.5 shuttle and a 7.56 three-cone. Now, I should mention, when they say he leaped a 9'5" broad, they don't mean a really tall woman. That is one of the things they do in the combine. Just throwing it out there in case anybody's confused. That is the broad jump. You never know nowadays.
Oh, jeez.
People are taller. You never know.
Such a nice broad over there.
The 9'5" broad.
Oh, what a game.
But yeah, he it was very good at smaller schools. I mean, literally gave up like one sack almost every 10 games in college. I mean, that's a really good record. But he played at Virginia Tech and Louisville, not exactly top flight schools going against top talent there, you know. But he did play really good there. So that's a little bit of a room for excitement. But then you go, okay, he's on his third team now, and he's halfway through his rookie season. That gives you a good amount of moments of pause there. You know, it makes you wonder almost why
the make you think.
You know, sometimes you find the diamond in the rough. And I know he's, like I said, got the good athletic scores. You know, he's got the type of size and NFL speed that you really want out of an offensive lineman, especially an interior guy that might have to pull. But yeah, you definitely got to question the fact that it's team number 3, and we're just started November. That's not good. That's not good, guys. We'll see. Again, can't hurt to bring him in. Maybe Carmen Brasillo or somebody within the Giants organization saw something they liked. Obviously, he had very good film in college, so. Can't hurt. Why not? What the hell? Do it.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to take a look. 100% right.
Listen, you take 100 shots, and sometimes you make a couple, and that's enough to make it worthwhile.
Yeah.
They're practice squad guys. They're not costing anything. They're not taking an active roster spot, so go for it. All right, let's talk about some Giants talking some BS here. And the first one is the big one here, the Wink Martindale taking shots here at the Giants. You know, obviously we all remember Wink was, you know, had a mutual parting of ways with the Giants here this offseason. And I got to say, like, am I wrong for saying the Giants defense actually looks better this year without him?
Oh, 100%. They look better. Everyone worried about, like, how are you going to pressure the quarterback? How are we going to get to the quarterback? Well, guess what? we've gotten to the quarterback way more this year than prior years.
Yeah, we can't stop. Still, I'm not saying the defense is great. We can't stop the run, but
you act like there was a difference of that. I was going to say, you act like the difference of that for the past few years.
Exactly. So anyway, Wink was talked to about the media after Michigan's last game, about his coaching future at Michigan, and he said it's a lot better than being in some places that are 2-7. So obviously, guys, we are still square in the mind of Wink Martindale, which is just crazy to me. It's like this guy went 2 places as a defensive coordinator in the NFL. And well, actually 3. I think he was a coordinator technically with the Broncos for a season as well and failed that miserably. But 2 stops recently as a defensive coordinator, Baltimore and New York. And both places was a mutual parting of ways, guys.
Yeah.
When there's a pattern forming, you have to look in the mirror. And apparently Wink Martindale can't do that. Either he's a vampire or he has no mirrors in his house. I'm not sure which one, but yeah, you can't go that route. Like to talk trash about the Giants because they're 2-7, like that seems a bit, chaotic to do at that point. Like you can't even get a job in the NFL.
I was going to say, you were with this team last year who was also not a good team. Started off very similar. You're going to talk crap this year.
By the way, Michigan also 3-3 after winning the national title last year. So good job, Wink.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there for you, Wink. Throwing it out there. It's just, like I said, it just seems a little crazy to me that he's still talking trash about the Giants, of all people. Like, where are you getting at this? Move on. We've moved on. We haven't talked about Wink Martindale on this program probably, except in passing because of something in prior years that might have come up during conversations. Probably since right after he left. Like this is not like Saquon where like we keep on talking about it because he's popping up and rearing his ugly head. Like Wink Martindale has not been a topic of conversation, mostly because
he's irrelevant.
Set to lose him, and again, he's not doing that great at Michigan, guys. Not doing that great. So,
and once again, our defense is looking that much better. Like,
yeah. Got to be said. Now, former Giant John Feliciano, I remember him, the former Bill, who's also a center for the Giants for one season before going off to the San Francisco 49ers for the last 2 years, said on X, or formerly Twitter, whichever one you want to call it, said, crazy, obviously Washington, is 7-2 with that shitty offensive line coach, and then tagged the Giants in the post. Because he was being more petty than if Richard Petty and Tom Petty had a love child.
Oh, Dick Petty?
It seems a little crazy to me that, like, I get it. Washington's having a great year, guys. But if you guys think Bobby Johnson, our former offensive line coach, is the reason why this team's doing good, then I have a cup for you to pee in real quick. Because clearly you're on something.
Or you're thirsty.
Yeah, well, the cup to pee in would not be good for quenching your thirst, just saying.
You don't know what the cup.
We're not advertising this program. But, listen, you look at the stats and go, okay, Washington's line's not playing that bad necessarily. 18 sacks in the season, that's 17th in the league. So they're right at the mid. Jaden Daniels is averaging 2.4 seconds in pocket on average passing plays. That's average in the league. They're 19th in the league in hurries, 10th in the 10th most blitz packages called against them. So, not bad stats, especially considering what they've done the past few years. Washington's line is actually ranked 8th best by PFF in the league, guys. But I think you're crazy if you don't think it's a good part of that is due to Jaden Daniels and his maneuverability in the pocket and his ability to get out of trouble. Because if you watch the games that they play, I mean, listen, you got 2 of them where you've seen against us. You've seen, a quarter of their games, basically, if you've just watched the 2 games we played against them. And that's what he does. He moves out of the pocket when he has to. He gets out of trouble when he has to. He moves around just enough to make a play. That's not the offensive line. That's him.
Yeah, he has the good ability to extend the plays. But he also has got a lot of talent in that arm and the ability to throw the ball down the field. It's like
and a top receiver.
Yep, and everyone and their mothers were talking about that Hail Mary at the end of the game to beat the Bears.
Yes. Jalen Hurts might want to take notes on how to throw a Hail Mary from that play, just saying. Definitely much better than what he threw in the Super Bowl. But I mean, that's I said. I think he needs to get some of the credit. Now, I have no beef with John Feliciano. Talking trash to support a former coach of his. I think that needs to be stated. Like, this is a guy who coached him in Buffalo. This is a guy who coached him in New York. This is a guy he has a good relationship with. And he spent 1 year in New York. The loyalty isn't there like it is for a guy who's been there 5-6 years. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to say he should. I'm okay with him making the comments. I just think that he needs to look at the whole picture and not just try to form a narrative that nobody else is going to try to form just to talk up a guy who used to coach him. Again, I respect it. There's loyalty in that. There's nothing wrong with that. But you got to recognize what you really got there. And what you got is a quarterback that's doing very well, that's very mobile, and that is really helping out that offensive line. So, you gotta understand that part of it is going on, because it definitely is. All right. Next up, actually, before we do that, Dorothy's got a couple comments here. Says, is the major roster move we are benching Eli Manning for Geno Smith? Sorry, just out of a time machine. Listen, if you stepped out of a time machine, do me a favor. I want you to go to 3 years from now. Let us know how the quarterbacks in the 2025 NFL draft are performing. And we're going to share this information with the New York Giants. Could come in handy in April. Could come in handy. So, all right, let's get into some good news here, guys, because that was a little bit of bad news. People talking trash. We don't like it. We get very sensitive. But we have good news. Graham Gano and Jamie Gillen are close to returning, guys.
Oh, yes.
They are close to returning. So what this means, guys, is we may have our special teams back to full strength shortly. At least close to full strength. Obviously, we still got some guys out that are coverage teams and stuff like that. But listen, when you lose both your feet guys, I'm going to call them feet guys, punters and your kicker.
The Foot Clan.
Yes. Like, this is the most disappointing team ever if you have a foot fetish, basically. But the kicker and the punter both being out. Listen, it affects everything. And I give credit to the guys who have come in and done their thing. I mean, we've had 2 different kickers come in and really haven't had too many issues. We had the occasional misses, but nobody's perfect. We've had, obviously, Hack come in at the punter position, and he's, I think, done pretty well, actually, all things considered. But these guys are definitely upgrades over the guys we've had, booting the football lately. Brian Dable said, I still have to meet with our medical guys, but I think Graham is getting close. How close is he right now? I think we'll know here in the next couple of days. And he said that on Monday. So we should hopefully find out pretty shortly on that there. He said, I think that Gillen progressed well. We'll see here on Tuesday or Wednesday where he's at. I think he has a chance. So obviously he's talking more positive about, Graham Gano coming back than he is our Scottish Hammer, Jamie Gillen there. Now, we'll obviously know more of what's going on Friday. That's when they announce who's actually going to be going onto the plane there. But, and heading over to Germany. But we'll have to find out. But it's definitely interesting that both of them could be coming back there at the same time. And
it's time for Germany.
Listen, it's definitely a help. I know people don't like to talk up special teams. There's some podcasts and content creators that are basically refuse to flat out talk about it. It's still a third of the football game. It's still an important part of the game. You may not say it's a third of the importance of a team, but it's got to be at least 10%. Would you give 10, 15%? I mean,
probably 15%. Because you think about it, like, you go, you march down the field 70 yards. Guess what? You get in an end zone and you get stuffed, right? That's 4th down. You need some points on the board. You send in, the kicking team, and you have a seizure because you're
watching your camera.
Yeah.
Having Tourette's on us here.
Yeah. But you go in, and I'm going to pause this real fast, but you go in, and guess what? You you go for it on a fourth down, or do you sit in your kicker team and go for the 3 points? And if you go for the 3 points, listen, look at the Giants twice this year. If you would have just made 2 extra field goals, bit 2 extra points. Oh my God!
What is going on with the camera?
I have no idea. Give me a second. But if you go in and you get 2 extra points, right? 2. That's all it takes, and it's not. Yeah. They're you miss them because then you're going for 2-point conversions because you can't depend on your kicker to make it in the field goal. Right? You can't depend on your kicker to do his job. So,
or if also, it's also a matter of, let's say, for example, like obviously this hasn't really happened for the Giants too much, even though we've had close games. But let's say, for example, if you're in a game and you're down by 3 points, if you have a really good kicker, you're less likely to, have to worry about how close you get. You're more likely to take a 50, 55-yard shot if you get the chance. Whereas if you have an okay kicker, now you're thinking you need 45, 40-yard options. It's a big difference. It really is a big difference there at that point. So it's nice to have. And look at the punter stuff. And we talked about this. The Scottish Hammer, you could have made the call, has been like the MVP at times. He's been very good at pinning people deep lately. He hasn't been just kicking out the back of the end zone like he did his first year here with us. Like I said, I just think it's a good, it's a good advantage to have those 2 guys back there. So now,
100%.
Obviously, when somebody comes back, somebody's got to go bye-bye. So the Giants, Matt Hack, the punter, who's been taking, the role there since Jamie Gillen's been out. Now, we talked about the prior segment. Like he's been, I think, a solid backup for Gillen since he's been out. So 4 games he's played, 21 punts, which first off, it's bad. It's over 5 punts a game, guys. That's not good.
Yeah.
988 yards. That's 47 yards per punt with a net yard of 39 per punt, meaning that he's giving up 8 yards on average on the return. That's the only thing I would say is bad, but that's also just as much on the coverage team as it is on him. 9 of those punts have gone within the 20-yard line, so that's good. It's pinning him back pretty good. And just 1 of those punts have been a touchback. So now he's since been added to our practice squad, guys, and that's smart, really smart, because what that means is, let's say hypothetically, Jamie Gillen's not available next week. Let's say he's not, because we don't know what's going to happen yet with him. Nothing's finalized. He was limited in practice on Wednesday. We have no clue what's going to happen yet. Let's say he doesn't come back. Because Hack's on the practice squad, you can actually elevate him the next 2 weeks if you have to. So what they're doing basically is just they're taking that chance of saying, okay, we're going to release you to put it back in the practice squad, and hopefully nobody else picks you up, and you got a 50-50 shot of basically still playing the next week or 2. So now we're covered. We're good no matter what as far as Gillen can't play, but we also have the option we want to keep this guy in our active roster if he is able to play. Giants have actually done right in that scenario. There's nothing I can complain about. That has been a smart roster management at that point. So,
golf clap.
Kudos to them. Kudos. Yeah. So, another guy gone though. Nick McLeod. There could be only
McLeod.
Officially has been cut by the New York Giants there. So he's played overall in his Giants career 38 games, including 16 starts since being claimed off the waivers from the Bills back in 22. McLeod was beforehand asked to take a pay cut. Now the Giants only had about $3 million in change on their, their salary cap, and he flat out refused. This move saves us $900,000 off the books. Now, to me, that's a little sus there. I have a feeling something else is going on. That's what the kids say, by the way, is sus. Respect. They say sus. I'm hip with the times.
It's just dropping all that riz.
I'm so cool. But the corner position, guys, has been an issue. You got Adoree Jackson and Andrew Phillips have both been out at times. Trey Hawkins has also been injured. Not that he plays much, but, we're very thin at that position. And now we're cutting a guy who's been with us the last couple of years, who's been healthy, has been able to play. I don't get it. For $900K.
Yeah, and it's not like, has he played the best as the
No.
backup to our secondary? No. Has he been the worst?
Definitely not.
No. And you're talking less than $1 million you're saving. Why? Because he did not take a salary cut? Like,
here's my thing. What would you expect to gain? And obviously, guys, I'm not the guy who can sit there and tell you, okay, what's this cap numbers and the salary cap and the contract and blah, 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 to find out everything going on. Like, that's BS if anybody tells you that. There's stuff we'll never know. We think we know things because there's guys like over the cap and all that tell you some of the stuff, but we don't know fully. Yeah. If hypothetically he had taken a some kind of a pay cut, let's say he took $400,000 pay cut or $500,000 pay cut, that's probably what they're asking. You're telling me you could have just restructured a little bit with Andrew Thomas, Dexter Lawrence, Brian Burns to get it free up $1 million or $2 million? I'm not buying it. I'm honestly not buying it. I think something else is going on behind the scenes we don't know. And I don't know if maybe Nick McLeod was upset over playing time or something along those lines. So I think if he did that, he's kind of stupid because, he's one of those guys. He's that fringe NFL player that he's not going to get picked right back up. It's not like teams are salving, ooh, Nick McLeod's available. I heard there could only be one. Like, they're not all excited. Like, it's, and he's the guy that I'm sure somebody else will pick up at some point, probably put him on the practice squad on the bottom of their roster, whatever the case may be. But honestly, two things. The Giants, stupid, because you made one of your thinner spots in your roster even thinner when you could have adjusted the salaries of somebody else very easily. And stupid on McLeod for calling their bluff, because fringe NFL guys don't necessarily get other shots. Yeah. And, this is a guy that I understand he wants money. I want money at my job. So I try not to judge too much in this kind of stuff here. But Nick McLeod has made a couple $1 million in this league now. So at some point you got to go, I need to just take what I got here, guys. He's made $1.8 million so far in his career. And that's not even including anything this year. That's not even including what he made this year. So his contract this year was $2.985, so just under $3 million. So the year's halfway over. I mean, he's got, you can figure out that by they're saving $900,000. You figure they probably already got paid $2 million of that.
Yeah.
So, he's not hurting, guys. Actually, it's way off in there, the earnings they gave. Hold on. He's made more than that. He's made about $3.6 million, guys. So, like I said, if he wanted to play and continue to play, he should take the pay cut. Only because he's a fringe player. If he's a really good player, listen, somebody else will take you up and somebody else will pay you. Nick McLeod's career could be over for all we know. And I hope not. I have nothing, I have no ill will towards Nick McLeod. But there's no guarantee he gets picked up by somebody else. That's a gamble.
I mean, if they pick him up for half of what he's making this year,
then he might as well take the pay cut.
He might as well take the pay cut. But also, if someone picks him up for $1 million, he misses a couple of weeks. Well, I
mean, I don't know. I feel like he's a free agent at the end of the year. And like I said, a fringe player. I would have taken the pay cut, play the rest of the year personally. Or I would have said, hey, let's turn this into an extension. Take a little money out of this, let's add another year on for next year. Something along the lines and try to turn it into a positive. But at the very least, taking the pay cut. So you know what? Next year, I'll just go somewhere else. Take the money where you can. So either way, though, if he's smart, he's set for life.
Yeah.
Hopefully he is. All right. Now, again, with everybody that comes gone, somebody else comes in. So Art Green has officially been added to the roster there. So he was on our practice squad, 24 years old, 6'1", 201 pounds, undrafted rookie free agent from Houston back in 23. Was considered a very raw player coming out of college who had the size, speed, and athleticism the teams wanted. Didn't necessarily have the footwork, the form, and some of the technique issues taken care of yet. Spent his first year with the Denver Broncos on their practice squad. And like I said, it's been our practice squad ever since. So basically, it's a swap for Art Green. So we'll have to find out how he does. But that's I'm kind of shocked, to be honest, that was the guy. I don't. I mean, maybe he's doing something that we don't know about in practice. Obviously, we don't get chances to see the practice squad guys very much. It's not like they play a game every Sunday or anything crazy. But yeah, I would have thought Greg Stromer, who they had come in for Deonte Banks a couple weeks ago when he got benched against the Steelers, he did pretty good. I would have thought that'd be the guy that they would have put in, but we'll find out. Yeah, I mean, again, raw guy. Don't mind having the practice squad, but it's hard to judge a guy that we don't really see on tape yet. So let's get into the topic, though, at hand for this episode.
Oh, yeah.
And that is, we are here to preview the most exciting matchup you will ever see against two offensive juggernauts, the Titans of TDs, the Giants versus the Panthers, in what may well be deemed the number one overall pick bowl. Let's be honest, this is a big thing for that. Like, if whoever wins this is really hurting their chances of being that number one overall pick. Not that either one wants to lose it. I'm not suggesting. Again, I don't suggest tank. I don't condone tanking. I'm just saying.
Well, I mean, let's look at all the moves that the Panthers have made over the past couple of weeks.
Well, yeah, we're gonna go over that in a little bit. We go over us on the defense because we definitely have traded away half their receiver room. But it's safe to say that the Panthers are basically just ride it out the rest of this year, see what Bryce Young does, and then evaluate from there. But it's pretty obvious they're knowing they have to evaluate him this year and not ruin a potential chance to get a replacement for him in the draft with eBay.
Yeah.
So kind of sad if they get the first overall pick again, because that would mean they had it last year but traded away. They traded for it the year before and might have it again this year. That's a bad 3-year stretch, Giants fans. You think we're bad? You ain't seen nothing yet.
So go to Carolina Panthers. Go to the Carolinas. Enjoy it there.
Yeah, it's bad, guys. Let's talk about we're on offense here, and let's talk about the Panthers defense, guys, because y'all know who was on offense. You're Giant fans. You know what's going on. And not much.
Yeah. We got a guy kind of throws football. There's some guys that try to block him.
He runs more often than he throws.
Yeah.
It's his best feature. Kind of like a hand model with a good pair of legs. Just saying.
But one good hand.
That's not what you want when you're a quarterback. Your best thing is you run the ball, but it is what it is. So the Panthers guys have a really horrendous defense, guys. I'm going to give you the list of everything they're ranked last for in the NFL. This is literally everything they're ranked dead last in the NFL. So points allowed per game, 32.6 last. Yards allowed per game, 391.9 last. Points per play, 0.492 last. Third down percentage allowed, 48.31% last. TDs allowed per game, 3.8 last. Rushing yards per game, 159.3 last. Rushing TDs per game, 1.7 last. That's not even things in the bottom 5. That's the worst in the NFL. Every single one of those stats, guys. That's how pathetic that defense is. Now, their passing defense actually looks on paper to be better than their run defense. But they still have 70% completions and 232.6 yards per game while facing the lowest pass percentage in the NFL. Because let's be honest, the Panthers have not been in a lot of games. And when you're not a lot of games, what does the team do that's playing against you in the second half?
Run away.
Run. So yeah. They are ranked 28th overall interception percentage. They're ranked, that's a 1.11%. They're ranked 31st overall at sack percentage. That's 3.57%. This is a really, really, really bad defense, guys. I cannot stress that enough. This Giants offense should look good against them. And if they don't, that's an issue. That is an issue.
We're really good at looking at really bad against bad defenses.
That's a bigger issue than the pop-up book version of the Sports Illustrated Swimsuit Edition.
That was an issue?
No, it was not. It'd be cool if it wasn't. Pull tab.
Yeah. Bong.
I've always said the Karma Suture would be hilarious. That it was a pop-up book with pull tabs. Just saying. It would work. I'd buy that if it was in Barnes & Noble.
Yeah. It's on Amazon. Don't worry.
That's some Barnes and some Noble over there.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
But yeah, it's like, I think the big thing is, so Slayton, we don't know what's going to happen with him. He's got the concussion from last week, and you got international travel on top of that. So a decision needs to be made on Friday. So we don't know. But I fully expect the rookie duo, wide receiver Malik Neighbors and running back Tyrone Tracy Jr. to be absolute studs and stars of the show here. 100%. Those two have to take absolute control of this game. And if they don't, we're in trouble. And this can't be a game like last week where we're not throwing the ball to Malik Neighbors the entire first half. And I don't expect a lot of passing. Let me be very clear on that. I expect volume passes to Neighbors. And I think a healthy, overly healthy, amount of runs. I think it's the same as we complained last week about the fact that we're run. That's what's going to happen again. And it's going to be by design because of how bad the run defense is for the Panthers.
Yeah.
So, we literally took their best defensive player in the offseason. And not only see their best defensive player, he's probably better than, by a decent amount over anybody else they have on that team, guys. Like, this is, like I said, it's not a good defense. Now, do I expect the Giants to be an offensive juggernaut? No, of course not. The average team does 32.6 points per game against this team. I think it's fair to assume us to do about 25. That's fair.
So the second most this year?
It probably would be. I have to look at the numbers, but it probably would be. It definitely would beat Seattle. That was 29, I believe. But yeah, I think that's probably the second most. And I mean, like I said, I think that's fair considering the average 32. I think we can get about 25 considering we're not a good offense.
Yeah.
But this is a team that has had trouble putting points up, so we'll have to see what happens. But if you ever want to have a get right game as an offense, what better gift than playing the worst defense in the entire league and get yourself a little bit of, a little bit of,
Hey, your offensive line struggling, stop the pass rush. Hey, your offensive receivers, your receivers are having difficulty catching the balls or getting open separation. Hey, your running backs are having a really hard time finding the gap and getting up the middle. We got the team for you.
Hey,
the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, it's like I said, this is going to be one of those games. I think that Tyrone Tracy, especially, is going to be an absolute stud, and I hope so because obviously I want to win. But I think that this is a chance for that offense to do some right things. And I know we've said this the last couple of weeks, so we're going to sound a little bit like a broken record. But this is very much potentially the swan song for Daniel Jones. We mentioned it that Paul Dottino, when I was on a show a couple of weeks ago, said that he had, well, actually it was last week, but he had said that he wouldn't be shocked if the Giants made the switch at the bye week. And it makes some sense. I think Tommy DeVito being the starter would have made a lot of sense in Europe. We got maybe some Italian people to travel up to Germany.
Yeah.
Pasta
Let me get the gabagoo.
Just saying. Might have made some sense there, but maybe they'll save that for next year for the game in Rome at the Coliseum. How cool would that be? not going to do that. I don't think they even use the Coliseum or anything at all like that. But that would be amazing. Wouldn't you love that? How awesome would that be? NFL
Are you not entertained?
Oh my God!
Are you not entertained?
Absolutely goddamn spectacular. All right, let's go over to what happens when we're on defense here, guys. And this is a team that we got to talk about because this is a team that's been a flux, a roster that has changed very much. What a start of the season is, and nothing is what it once was. So, first off, we got obviously Bryce Young back as a starter. He's been announced again as a starter for this upcoming week there. He's got a 60.2 completion percentage in the season, just 695 yards, 3 touchdowns on the team on the season there. I mean, like I said, not a good year for him so far. Now, again, I'm not very high on him in general. So,
he's not very high on himself either.
Yeah. And we also got to throw in the fact that he also has 6 interceptions. So he's been a little prone to turnovers. Now, the Panthers only average 13.25 points per game when he's starting. The last 2, 18.5 points per game. So I guess you could say there's a little bit of improvement since he came back from his benching after the Andy Dalton car accident. You could say that. But this is a guy with a lot of shortcomings. He has trouble seeing off the offensive line, for one. He has trouble getting alcohol without being carded. He has trouble getting into an R-rated movie without being carded. But no, in all seriousness, he's not playing very good in this league, and he was very good in college. So I mean, is he going to be a bust? Is it the benching all of a sudden something's got set right? He's got a head coach that has gone ahead and fixed the careers of both Geno Smith and Baker Mayfield. He's got the right guy coaching-wise, but you can definitely make the claim that he does not have the right support around him. 100%. Last year you could say, okay, there's some guys around him. There's good support around him. This year you can't, and it's funny because it's like the same guys. It's amazing what a difference in a year makes between how you think about people. So at the running back position, you got Chuba Hubbard is the lead back for the season, 133 carries, 665 yards, 5 yards per carry, 5 touchdowns. So he's been playing pretty good this year. Miles Sanders, who was brought in to be their lead back, remember him a couple of years ago with the Eagles, 36 carries, 134 yards, 3.7 yards per carry. Remember, just 2 seasons ago with the Eagles, he was a 1,300-yard rusher, guys. This is why
also was a giant killer.
Yes, this is why I keep saying to Giants fans, don't worry about what Saquon's doing over there. It's Fugazi. It's not real. It's not Saquon. Rookie running back Jonathan Brooks, who was their late second-round pick, was just activated today. Literally today. He tore his ACL in November while still playing for Texas before the draft. This kid, I'm telling you guys, is the best running back in that draft. And we'll see if I get said right, if I'm, proved right on that. Obviously, he hasn't played it down. We can't say that for sure. But that was the opinion we gave leading up to the draft. I will stick with that opinion. He is a complete back. If he is healthy, and if he's back to playing like he did when he was in Texas before he got hurt, this is going to be a rough game for the Giants, guys, because you have Brooks and Hubbard. One guy who's been playing really well this year, and another guy who has the potential to be a really good running back in this league. That's not good for a team that has really struggled mightily to stop the run. We need to stop the run, guys. Point blank. Receiver-wise, that's a good question. Who's going to be even starting at this point?
Yeah.
So Deontay Johnson has been their number 1 most productive wide receiver this year, but he was traded to the Ravens this week. He had 30 receptions, 357 yards, 3 touchdowns in just 7 games. Jonathan Mingo. Mingo.
John, where you at?
Where's he at? Got traded to the Cowboys this week as well. He had 12 receptions for 121 yards. He's not a very big loss. Rob and I were not very high on him coming out of college, unlike some people looking at you, John. Adam Thielen.
That top 15.
Adam Thielen's been on the IR. So, and he was almost traded to the Steelers, according to reports as well. So, but he did not get traded, and he hasn't played now in several weeks. So, he didn't even practice at all last couple of days, and they were talking about taking him off the IR there. They got him designated to return, so he's ready to come back whenever he can be healthy again. But he is not practicing at all with them right now, which makes them think there's a setback with the Panthers media. But again, team doesn't always disclose these things. So here's what they're left with. Jatavian Sanders, the rookie tight end from Texas, who Rob and I were very high on him coming out. I think we had him as the second best tight end, I want to say, to Brock Bowers. If I remember correctly, in a rank,
maybe third.
But we were definitely higher on him than a lot of other people were, and we thought he was miles apart better than a lot of the other guys out there that were going to be, day 2, early day 3 kind of guys. 24 receptions, 245 yards. He had 87 yards receiving last week alone, so he's been coming up. Wide receiver Xavier Legette, who has the most fun and interesting interviews in the NFL at this point. For those who don't know why, just Google it. The man has a voice that you would swear he was an extra in My Cousin Vinny. Like, he has just the most southern draw ever at that point there. 26 receptions, 244 yards, and 4 touchdowns. And then you got Jalen Coker, who's got 14 receptions for 222 yards and 1 touchdown. Nobody else has over 100 yards receiving, guys. That's bad. But again, you're missing your top guy. You're missing your 4th receiver. You're missing your slot receiver. You're missing a lot of receivers in this game, guys. So, to me, as much as I don't ever like to focus on one part of a team, because when you focus on one part, the other part's going to crush you potentially. If I'm Shane Bowen, I am loading this box up like you wouldn't believe. And I'm forcing the Panthers to throw the ball. And I'm forcing them and counting that either my pass rush will get to him or
pressure him enough
that the corners will be played better than the receivers. Think about this. Based on the guys we mentioned, and listen, they could change up at any point because this is all new territory because these trades just happened this week. But Xavier Legette's basically their top receiver guys. There's no reason Banks shouldn't be able to cover him.
Especially after the wide ones he's had to cover this year.
Yeah.
This is a walk in the park.
It was like a makeup game for him. Sorry, my bad. Take this one as a gimme. Like, that's what it feels like. Yeah. You're
not wrong.
Yeah. I mean, Johnson is a decent receiver in this league. He's not an elite guy, but he's a good guy. He really should be a wide receiver too in this league. I'm not sure what Legette is. He's young. He's inexperienced. He really didn't play that good in college. We talked about that during the draft. He kind of came onto the scene his last season. Before that, he probably wouldn't have been drafted. And then he had a really good season at South Carolina to the point where he got drafted in, was his second? No, it was a first-round pick. He was our first-round pick. I think late first round, if I remember right now. But he's a guy that you have to scheme for him because you have enough tape to know what does and doesn't work for him. Like, this is not a guy that can fit a lot of different options. Yeah, he was first round, 32nd pick. So yeah, he was the last pick in the draft. So
first round
of the draft. Sorry, he was Mr. Irrelevant of the first round. But yeah, it's like I said, a guy that I'm not big on, a guy that I think could be a decent piece for you, but he's not going to be a stud that you want to get out of a first round pick. And then you got Coker, who's just, again, he's another piece. Sanders is probably the guy I'd be worried about most in this passing game. Not just because he leads the team in yards right now, who's left on the roster, but because he had a really good game last week when, some of this started going down. Plus, he's a tight end, and the Giants have never been able to cover tight ends, it seems, for the last 100 years.
110 years, whatever it is.
10 years before the franchise started?
Yep.
Oh, my gosh. They were established in 1925. My mouse pad tells me.
Also, the patch on my jersey tells me as well.
It does. I have like a cheat sheet here with me, though, just in case, because it really does say that right on my mouse pad. I got one of those nice long ones there because size does matter.
For your mouse pad.
Yes. It's a big pad for those heavy flow days.
Yeah.
But like I said, I think we really do think we need to, go ahead and be a team that really does load that box up. And like I said, force them to throw the ball.
With that pad, you can load it up big time.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I would throw a safety in there and go single. I would almost go, a 4-4-1 kind of defense at that point. And go for it. Like, why not?
Yeah.
Or a 3-5-1, kind of defense. Like I would load it up, and I would just go ahead and throw a guy like Pinnock, and if you want to go into regular 3-4 defense, I would throw him towards the line all the time. I'd have Drew Phillips if he's in there in the slot, being very cautious and outside runs as well. But this is a team that you focus on that. Because the only way they're going to score is probably by doing that. They're going to score by running the ball. They can't pass. And if they do, when you have to reverse course because they make you give up a couple plays, it's easy enough to reverse course. And once you do, they're not going to pass the ball. I mean, they're going to get like 170, maybe 200 yards tops at that point there on a good game. On a good game. I mean, Bryce Young has literally thrown under 100 yards before. Giants fans, you know what that's like. Here's the good question for you as we're talking about this. Let's do the next segment here. Thoughts and picks on the game here. Let me ask you this. As a Giant fan yourself, obviously we don't get into a lot of games where we go, we might have the better quarterback. It's not something we hear very often, I say. Is this a game that we can actually sit there and say we have the better quarterback?
Are we saying overall or for the day?
Like if you had to start a team right now and you have that's the only two quarterbacks you have to pick from, who are you picking? And it's only one game.
I'm gonna have to go with I'm gonna have to go with DJ at the end of the day because if you're talking about the starting cast around him as well, there's a lot more to go around.
Well, I'm not talking about that.
Plus DJ.
Throw each quarterback on either team, on the same team. I'm sorry, and you have to draft a team for one game, winner take all. Are you taking DJ or taking Bryce Young?
I don't know if I can answer that.
You have to. That's the rules.
I don't know if I can answer it. Like, let's be honest. The
rules is the fact of the facts.
We've seen
the cheese
DJ. We've seen DJ play with bad receivers, and he's played better with bad receivers and a bad offensive line than he has this year with a generational talent wide receiver and an offensive line that's actually giving him time to run, and he's just horrified to actually sit in a pocket and throw. Compared to a young guy who's played behind a terrible offensive line with not much weapons around him, and behind the line where he couldn't see over. So you don't know exactly what you got with him. And this year he gets benched, and he's playing better football now. So if I want to pick one of these guys out to go on a team, I don't know if you have more behind by Bryce Young to actually produce better.
I'm taking DJ.
I'm just saying I don't know. I already said I take DJ, but I'm saying I don't know because like you got to think about it because like it's still a tough decision.
If you were telling me I had to start a new team with one, then I would say Bryce Young for the hope that I can get somebody in there to fix him. But if you're telling me I have it for one game and one game only,
listen. If I'm doing DraftKings tomorrow, well, Sunday morning, like I like to do, lay on the couch, drink my coffee, pick up a team. DJ is wow.
Saying.
But I'm probably picking DJ. But I'm also probably taking Hubbard.
You're taking Hubbard, you said?
I'm saying if I do DraftKings.
I'm telling you right now, if you have
cheap.
a chance to get Tyrone Tracy Jr., you take him. It's going to be a healthy dose of TTJ. I'm going to start calling that. I like that. TTJ.
I like that too. I'm saying
Right?
you get those two guys cheap, you put them in the slot. They both get you a lot of points because both those teams can't stop the run. Get them cheap, and you put DJ in there. You can pick up great talent.
Regardless, like I said, I think it's a very rare game that you would actually say the Giants have a better quarterback.
Do that now.
Better quarterback. So I'm going to take it. But I'm going to say this. I think that the Giants will probably win this game, but I think this will be a close game. I really do, because not because like the Giants aren't a better team, because we are a better team than the Panthers, at least. Again, weird to say that we're better than the team we're placing. But it's going to be a close game because of the fact that both teams can't score. The difference you're going to have in this, where the Giants are going to be better, is because of the fact that our defense is playing better than their defense. But when you have two really bad offenses, guys, playing each other, something can happen for either team to change the outcome of this game very easily. This is not a gimme game. It would be for most teams. Most teams salivate when they play the Panthers. Say, okay, I can basically take this week off. Not the Giants. We are that bad. We have to be cautious. We have to be careful. We have to look what's going on, guys, because we never know what's going to happen week to week. And if we only score, let's say they put up 14 points and we have 21 points up on the board. Well, if all of a sudden they get a pick six from DJ, or they get a fumble, or or they get one freak big play, which can happen. Even a broken clock is right twice, a day at that point. Then it's possible. So I wouldn't call it a gimme, but I would say this is a game the Giants should win.
Yes. I do agree. And that's pretty much, it is. Depending on,
I feel like you want to disagree with me, but you're having trouble.
I do, because I really want to take the Giants in the spread in this, but if it was 5.5, I'd probably take the Giants in the spread. But that 6.5. What is the spread?
I haven't looked at that yet. We're doing our pick episode.
Is it 6.5?
9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Shameless plug. But is it
6.5? I think it was 6.5 when I looked at it.
Yeah, listen. I would still take the Giants.
I want to, but I start getting cautious, because what's the rule I've been talking about all year? 5.5 points is where it's at.
5. 5 for the Giants.
It is 5. So all right. So I think the Giants in the spread then.
Like I said, I'm confident in the game. I'm just not going to say it's impossible we lose. Things can happen.
And I think
and
be ready for defensive touchdown from the Giants.
Yep.
In and out.
Like I said, my biggest thing I really hope for is an interception for the Giants. We have one interception of the whole season, and I can't remember who did it, but it was a linebacker. It wasn't even one of our secondary.
Oh, yeah.
As good as we have been at sacks, guys, and we got to get some interceptions. We got to start learning how to get interceptions. And this has been an issue last year as well. It wasn't until the second half of the year that our defense started getting interceptions, when Wink finally got forced into doing more of his zone defense. So I don't know if it's a scheme issue. I don't know what's going on. All I know is you got to be able to get the interceptions. And if you can't get interceptions, then you're taking out a very key component towards building momentum or stealing momentum from the team. And we got to figure out how to get that going. And this would be a great game to do it now, with, Bryce Young averaging over interception per start. He is averaging 1.5 interceptions per start.
I know, you're not wrong. It's just a funny stat to me to hear out loud.
So therefore, we should get one. At least, I'm not saying 2 or 3. I'm saying we should get one. That's fair to ask. So
yes.
All righty, guys. Oops, sorry.
No, I'm saying I can see a Giants. I see the Giants defense having a great day, and don't be they will lead us to get probably the leading gap in this game. They'll probably be the reason why we have a third of the points we get. So, not saying that they're going to get the pick six or a fumble for recovery for a touchdown, but they're going to get a strip sack
They're going to get some field position plays, you're saying, basically.
Yep. And they'll set us up for field goals. So they'll set us up for, I say field goals because we'll be in the red zone.
Record for most field goals in a game, like, is that going to be?
Yeah. They'll be the reason why we get the most field goals in one game.
Be as bad as we played the Commanders a week 2.
Overseas. We'll have the most field goals.
All right, guys. Let's get to our preview on the Thursday night game here coming up tomorrow. Before we do that, guess what we have to do still? Pay the bills.
Enjoying the show? Looking for more goofball action? Consider a membership at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs. Memberships start at just $5 and give you additional goofball access. One-time support payments also available starting at just $3. buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs.
Oh, yeah. All righty, guys. So, for those who are wondering, by the way, how the picks ended last week, of course, I was the one correct in the Monday Night Football game, by the way. So, I even extended my lead on that there. Since you had picked the Colts, Rob. I mean, not the Colts. I mean, the Chiefs. It'd be really bad if you picked the Colts and the Chiefs versus Bucks.
The Colts didn't play Monday Night. What are you talking about? What kind of shenanigans are you? What are you doing?
Such a foolish pick on your part, but you would pick the Chiefs to beat the spread, and I had gone against that. So So I got
7.7 is a lot asking.
Listen, I got 6 points on you last week. You were complaining about me not getting enough points per win. That's a good win. I'll take that.
That's a good win.
That.
Kudos.
I'm officially up now by 8 points now on this. So first game we got this week, like I said, tomorrow we got the Bengals at the Ravens. The Ravens are a 6.5 point favorite in this game. The over-under is 53. Who you got, Rob?
Ooh, put me right on the spot.
I
am actually going to take the Bengals to win this game. They're coming back from a really bad start, playing way better football. Same thing with the Ravens. And they have played each other tough consistently. And what did they do? Overtime, field goal. Last time, what was it, 48-45 or some crazy score, high 40s where it was over in the 70s. So I'm taking the over in this game as well. These two teams also play themselves either low or high, but both their defenses are not the same defenses they've had the past 5 years, give or take. So I do think they're going to be putting up a lot of points against each other. I'm taking the Ravens to, the Bengals to win this game, but I'm going to take the Ravens in the spread. Yeah.
Well, hold on. The Ravens.
I did that. I thought you said Ravens were. Sorry,
no, Ravens
I thought you said they were
6.5 points. They're 6.5 point favorites.
Oh, I thought you said the other way. I apologize. Then obviously, I'm taking the Bengals to win this game.
I'm just saying, you're really just hedging your bets there.
Just in case.
What you got in the over/under?
I already said that's an over.
Okay, make sure I'm putting on the list here as we're going here.
So be over.
So the Bengals, the last 4 weeks, guys, are 3-1. So I get what you're saying. The Bengals have been winning football all of a sudden the last month now in football. Here's who they played, though, guys. They beat the Giants. We're Giants podcast. We're to tell you point blank, we suck. They beat the Browns, one of the few teams that suck worse than us that we actually beat.
Divisional game.
Then they played. I know that's why it was a close game, 21-14. That was. Then they played the Eagles, got their butts whooped, 37-17, and then they whooped the butts of the Raiders, one of the few teams we probably could beat in this league. So I look at their schedule and say, are they getting better, or has the talent just been, that much worse they're facing? And I think that's what this is. I think it's a little bit of fool's gold here the last month. So I have the Ravens to win. I have the Ravens to cover. What's interesting enough do you know who they played right before that 4-game stretch?
The Ravens.
It was the Ravens, exactly. 41-38 was the final score. A very close game in overtime. So I think it's not going to be quite as close this time because of the fact that one was in Cincinnati. This one is in Baltimore. We always say that's a swing of a few points easily right there with the home field advantage. So I do think that the Ravens get it because of that, but I'm sticking with the over because that was a really high-scoring game, guys. And the Bengals, as good as they have been on defense, They have not been good in offense, have not been very good on defense. And the Ravens defense is not the same Raven defense as last year.
Nope.
So I'm fully thinking this is going to be a very high scoring game there. So I got the Ravens, and the over. So we'll find out. That means one of us is going to be 2 or 3 points up to start the week. It's nice we actually start the week different. Usually we're always on the same page and that stuff for some reason on Thursday night.
Listen, the Bengals and Ravens are the team that play each other, and it's very weird to watch them because over the past 5 years since they will say 5 years since most of the team is where they're at now, player wise. They're a team that put up 30-something points on each other each in the same game. They're also the same team that put up like 9 points to 10. And it's just the way they play each other and how it is. And it doesn't really matter if they're playing in Baltimore or if they're playing in Cincinnati, because when you talk about that flight or that drive, it's really not that far. And they've always played each other, and fans of them travel. So,
yeah, and they're not that far necessarily. They're a quick road trip or a quick plane trip for the weekend, so they can still do it. All right, guys, let's get into a couple of comments here, and we'll get out here for the night. So, Dorothy answered our request. It took your request to win 3 years into the future. Update: Giants almost ready to determine if Daniel Jones is the quarterback of the future. Only year 9, guys. Only year 9.
All right. Troll.
Deb gets a good chuckle out of that too. Solving the race problems. Can you explain how the Giants are favored by 6.5 in this game? Not only will Carolina cover, they have a good chance of winning. LOL. Honestly, I think that's just negativity from a Giant fan, and I get why. Point blank. Yeah, I mean that's just basically what happens. Is that the team is bad?
We suck again.
Like this, we're bad. This team is poop, utter poop. And again, he's not wrong. Like they could win, very easily could win. We said that in the preview section. I'm not suggesting that the Giants will just beat the poop out of the Panthers here, but they should. They should because the team is that bad.
We should win by 17.
Who should easily a double-digit win? It should be the first double-digit win. That wasn't the last time we had a double-digit win, guys.
Ooh.
Look that up. Dorothy says the line opened at -1, and so people took the money that Vegas had to keep moving the line until people started betting on the Panthers so they can balance their risk, which makes sense. That happens all the time, guys. And I still would bet the Giants personally. Still would do it. Yeah. And she says would be 2-7 with the 44-year-old Eli Manning at quarterback. We should have a quarterback Eli Manning still. Let's go. Bring him back out of retirement. Let's go.
It'd be amazing. We might be 4.
Chad Powers, the rookie, starting 5. For the Giants.
Think fast, be fast. Think fast, be fast. Think fast, be fast.
All righty, guys. That's going to call it a night for us. So appreciate you guys watching as always. We are always live every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, along with a post-game and sometimes even a play-by-play of the games as well on game day. So if you haven't already, guys, hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that share. We're always live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and, of course, Rob's favorite.
First like that. Oh, Jesus.
LinkedIn profile. Oh, yes. And of course, we're available the next day on all the audio podcast platforms. Episode goes up live at 5 a.m. for those early birds having to go into work and, sip their coffee, put on their makeup, and try to drive at the same time while listening to a podcast. So we got
Drew, you're really good at that.
I listen. I put on my mascara like nobody else. I have on Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Amazon, all the big ones there, guys. So appreciate you guys listening and watching as always. We'll see you guys tomorrow night as we do our Week 10 preview episode. We find out.
I can't believe it's Week 10 already.
I know, it's insanity. As we go over all our picks for the games, going over all the straight-up wins, their spread picks, and our over-unders for each of the games throughout the week there, and find out how much I will whoop Rob's butt by this time.
Oh, stop it.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
You'll be crying come Monday.
Fighting words. Listen, I've won. You are 2-7 like the Giants. Just saying, I got this.
The only difference is I can still win the year.
That's the thing, yeah, because it's a cumulative thing. All right, guys. We'll see you guys again tomorrow night. Appreciate you guys for watching as always. And as always, Giant fans,
Go Giants!
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support.
Thanks so much.
Please, I'm begging you. Please subscribe.